Well, hello. Good evening, all. Good evening, chat. Don't
Hello.
see nobody in the chat yet. We'll say hello to them as they roll in.
Hmm.
Well, Blair, how are you
Dempsey's
doing there?
here. I'm good. I'm good. I love old World War II movies, so I really like talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so good. There's so many good ones. Right, Stephen. Hey, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm good. I'm good. Just noticing that my avatar on YouTube is not appearing. Let's see if I can recycle it and get it to show up. But
All
Okay.
right.
I'm doing good. This is a curious choice. I was kind of a little thrown for a loop, but I think I got enough in me to understand what's going on. I certainly know all of the earmarks of where this movie led Hollywood regarding sub movies and combat and three dimensions. There's tons of stuff, meat on this bone for us to discuss tonight.
Yep. Yeah, and
Look at that
this one.
color.
Yeah.
I think they
Crazy.
actually say this is deluxe color, you know, to
Yeah.
let you know.
Now, just wanted to read a few something here. Uh, Kurt Jurgens. I guess
Hmm.
it's his debut movie.
Hmm.
So it's pretty cool. And he said this was an important picture for me because it was the first film after the war in which a German officer was not interpreted as a freak.
Hmm.
It's pretty cool. And I'll
Yeah.
read you. Go ahead.
Was it just me, or did anybody else get the skipper from Gilligan's Island vibe from the look of this guy?
Yes, I
A
did.
little bit, yeah.
The open
Yeah,
chest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. The kind of like, oh man, I really let my whole crew down kind of look on his face all the time. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was directed by Dick Powell, writers Wendell Mayers and D.A. Reiner, who wrote the novel, I believe.
And in the novel, it was a British ship, not an American ship.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that would
Interesting.
fit better with the
Hmm.
author. And he was actually a naval in the Navy,
Hmm.
British Navy, I think, on
Yes.
a or a submarine destroyer. I guess that's what it's called. Okay, so yeah, we start off South Atlantic. I like how they show the two ships. Uh, what is it? How each of them respond to the other.
Hmm.
It's pretty
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, it's like a move, counter move,
Yeah,
and then guessing what they're going to do next. Hey, Joseph. Yeah, we got Dempsey and Joseph Dredd in the chat.
hey, Joseph Dredd,
Yes, indeed.
Dempsey. Yeah, I love how they first kind of have the it's the doctor who's out for a walk on the decks, and you kind of hear that there's a new captain on the ship, and the crew's kind of discussing him. Some of them think he's just a like a wet blanket or something. Can't do
What do
his
they call it?
job properly. Or
Feather
Hmm.
merchant or something, because he was in the
yeah,
Merchant
yeah, that's
Marines.
right, feather merchant.
Hmm.
And he was in his cabin for 2 days, hadn't come out. So they're all speculating on what's going on. He'd be seasick. Um,
Yeah,
they they talked about how his last ship he was torpedoed and it broke in half,
right.
and now they got him. Now is he like some crack up person? You know, nobody knows what's going on with the guy, so everybody's starting to scuttlebutt it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
and
is
then
some
the
great introduction material
Hmm.
because
yeah, it is.
this
It
notion
is.
of the mysterious captain, he's got a questionable past. He may have had some dishonorable conduct. They're not really sure, and you got all the graybeards, so to speak, kind of discussing whether or not he's genuine, and it's almost like exhibition, exposition, but it's not exposition because we're getting introduced to all these guys as well.
Yeah. And I love the interaction between this guy and the younger fella here playing. I couldn't get what game they were playing, but it was like a team game, and
Yeah.
he makes them lose every time they play it.
He's like a brand new ensign, and the other guy's been out in the sea for a long time. And they they're saying he should have been the captain, but he's like, no, I'm not XO material. I'm not captain material. I'm strictly a XO.
Yeah.
What are they playing there? That looks like solitaire to me, but apparently not.
I thought it was like hearts or something, or
yeah, this guy and this guy are on a team, and these two are on a team, but I couldn't figure out what game they were playing. But yeah, he's like, why didn't you tell me you had that many hearts or something?
I wonder if it's a form of bridge, or maybe
It might be. It might be.
I mean, when you start talking about card counts, right? Isn't that a major part of the whole game of bridge?
I never played bridge.
Yeah,
I played hearts, but not anything else. Go fish.
Yeah. Then we get the radar here. It's like, oh, there he is. We gotta
out in the rain. They have a storm front. They always keep talking about the weather in this thing too, how it's going to affect their ability to track people or find people or speeds.
I love he contacts the captain and it's like, we have a radar contact. And he says, do you want us to zigzag? He's like, what do you think, mister?
Yeah, so you don't know if the guy is just bluffing, like he doesn't know what he's doing because he keeps asking them what they would do, or if this is his way of finding out the competency of his crew. Like he knows what he's going to go with, but he wants to see what they come up with. They may come up with the right answer, but there's like a better answer than that. So you find out later that he knows his stuff, but like right now, you're still questioning whether or not this guy's going to be a competent captain or if it's going to be a massacre.
Right.
Hey, Zax.
Okay. It says that it's actually bridge. I just did a quick search. It said that they were playing a form of bridge, and they actually go into pretty silly detail about who's doing what and when. But I couldn't pass it up. I had to look it up.
He's going to bother you until you found out.
Yeah. Blair, were you in the Coast Guard or what? Were you?
I was in the Navy, but I was never on ship.
Oh, all right.
So, especially a sub hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, when you change direction on a ship, everybody knows. So.
Yeah.
These guys kind of wake up and like, what's going on? The boat's turning. What's going on?
Yeah, that's got to be kind of freaky.
No, right.
I like this part too. All the guys have woken up and you're going to the radar room, and this big guy's standing in the way, and the captain grabs his shoulder, make way. He's like, I was here first. And he turns around. Oh, yeah, sure, Captain.
Wow.
Yeah, they haven't seen any action, so they're all like gun ho for action.
Yeah.
These are some big dudes.
Yeah, really, that's a small ship to be.
Yeah. But he's telling this guy to keep his eyes on that dot. It's in the middle of the night, so they have to wait till it gets lighter. Actually, they're far enough away from him that it'll take the night to get to that position. So.
Mm-hmm.
They're marking out
Wow.
the guys.
Old school.
Yeah. And watching this movie too, it's amazing how many things were you had to do manually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have math. They had to
Yep.
do math break out the ruler and
Yeah.
Yeah. Triangulate the position. You were doing cosine and sine.
Yeah. And radar was really in its infancy, and sonar.
yeah,
Mhm.
they weren't like really specific.
Yeah.
I know there's even a section where he proposes a problem. Let's say he's going this fast for this lawn, and we go so many degrees off perpendicular, and then go. At what point would we meet? And he just like this writes it down on the board, measures it out, and like boom, right here, like 28 minutes from now we'll meet. You know, and that's how they did back then. They didn't have computers that would do it for you. They didn't
No.
have any of that. It was just like hard math.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Your computer was your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little side note. I used to collect old dictionaries, certainly, very, very much so, collecting dictionaries prior to the atomic age. And in a dictionary I had that was from the 20s, the word computer and calculator were referencing a person doing the calculations. They
Oh
were
wow.
called a computer. And the device they used was called a reckoner to help you, to assist in your reckoning.
Wow.
I get out my reckoner,
Yeah.
fire up the reckoner, and start playing, Sniper Elite 5 or whatever. And reckon some dead Germans.
Yeah.
It almost makes sense that this entire radar sequence and them doing all these calculations was the reason why we got introduced to the sonar room so early in the plot line for Hunt for Red October. It was almost like,
Yeah.
look how much more advanced we are in this sub game.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, things got really progressive in that.
Yeah, they were talking about databases of different frequencies of sound and
Mhm.
how the computer was able to extrapolate what vessel that might be. That's like, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a scene coming up here where the German captain kind of talks about they've taken the human out of war or something. So
Mm.
even then,
Mhm.
this new technology was like state of the art,
Yeah, he's
even when
talking
they were.
about World War One. The captain had to do the math in his head and fire and just hope he hit something. Now the periscope gives them the full, range and everything. They put it in their little computer and spits it out. They get a firing solution immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
Yeah.
40s. Now imagine what they do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a part here that I'm trying to get.
Yeah, there he is. The sub commander.
Could
Yeah, and this guy is like a new guy, and
yeah.
he's like full on for the Fuhrer. He's a true believer. But yeah, he goes here and he's this sign, Fuhrer. I can't.
I think it says
pronounce.
Führer commands we follow.
Yeah,
What it translates to.
and he's like looking at it. Yeah. So he
Yeah.
puts a towel over.
Great introduction. What a fantastic
Yeah.
introduction to this character.
So everything you need to know about him. He's like,
That's
yeah.
actually true too. The German Navy did not like Hitler.
No, they refer to themselves as German, not Nazis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have the swastika on their uniforms either.
Yeah.
See,
Little
and I love
fascinating tidbit of history about navies, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it seems to me that the Navy has always been kind of, probably because of the nature of their task and their duty, they are isolated, standalone complex kind of situations where, hey, look, this is my boat. It might as well be a damn country all by itself. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Captain
The
on deck.
captain, the
Yep.
captain
Far.
becomes the Führer on the boat.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
You're not on land. You don't have bureaucrats on you. You are the representative of your company out in the sea,
Yeah.
and you are a law unto yourself.
And even if there is a Secret Service officer on board, you're still out at sea,
Yeah.
right? Like, go
Right.
ahead, make a big fuss. We'll throw you overboard, and nobody will even question it for a second because we are the Navy,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
You wonder
Put
how
you up
many of those.
the torpedo tube.
Yeah. You wonder how many of those officers died at sea mysteriously.
Yep. Yeah. Well, if you give the track record of captains or lieutenants in Vietnam, then yeah, you've got a hard number right there, right? Didn't we have all kinds of fatality incidents, accidental fatalities of lieutenants that were putting their troops in danger in Vietnam? That was a
Mhm.
common occurrence, supposedly.
Accidentally got shot in the back.
Whoops.
I love how he puts his towel up over the
Mhm.
sign too.
And look how neat, nice, and tidy, and clean and spacious that sub is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not the case.
No.
You want to get a real look at it? Check out that 1980 movie, Das Boot.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was cramped, smelled. They didn't have toilets. They didn't work underwater. They had buckets. They're hot, claustrophobic, greasy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Before air conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were no creature comforts aboard.
I think it was they could stay under for 24 hours.
Yeah, they had batteries
Wow,
that
really?
Yeah.
ran everything. So they had to come up for air and
Right.
to charge the batteries. So I'm not sure how long they could actually stay under from start to finish, but yeah, it really wasn't a long time.
Yeah, and they could dive to like 300 feet.
Yeah, and they weren't even supposed to do that. You look at
Yeah.
the little meter on them; it's like in the red zone.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, they only can operate in a little layer of the ocean.
Yeah. This is where he's talking about the new technology, and he's saying captains used to, compute it all in their head, and then fire, and they may or may not hit the target.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's all you just push a button, you know what range they are, and
Yep.
And Joseph Dredd, yeah, there's a sub in Chicago too.
Yep.
That you can go visit and look. I was in it, and you can get a feeling just how really cramped that thing is.
yeah. And I don't know. Do you know how many men would have been on one?
I forgot what the crew complement was.
I'll take a peek.
Okay.
Not many. I mean, it was a German sub they captured whole, and it was, I guess representative of their fleet at the time, but it is nothing like a Los Angeles class or, any of those things.
Yeah. So yeah, the captain here is like tired of this war too.
Yeah, they do talk about. He shows a picture of his sons. One is at the bottom of the ocean. The other one's he said a burned up cinder in a cockpit. So he lost both of his kids. He's tired of the war. He keeps referring to the new Germany under the Nazi regime, and he's just not particularly a fan of it. He's kind of like done.
Yeah, it's showing here that roughly it's about 42 personnel, and that's all enlisted officers. But they also have 7 seamen, as well as 4 firemen and some mess attendants that are not included in the commissioned officers. And that's just a rough number. I mean, I'm sure that's that varies, plus or minus 10 people at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't. I don't think it wasn't 100. It was in the dozens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this scene too, he's got his, I guess his, I don't know what this guy's rank would be, but it's like his second in command or something. But he's invited him to his room for a drink, and this guy, he's had one drink, and the captain's like chugged down like 5 or 6. So,
What was that guy's name? Oh, Heine. That was it.
yeah, yeah, and he,
Now he, yeah.
yeah, this guy uh, goes to sleep, and he puts a blanket over him.
They're also talking about this is their last mission. They're going to rendezvous with a hunter group
Right.
and then take something and then go to Germany and then he's done. That's why they're
Oh,
so
really? So this was his last journey, his last voyage?
Yeah, so that's why they're so
Right.
hell bent on course 140 because that's where they had to go. And then once they realize that they're always going to go on that course, that's when they're able to, hunt them down no matter where they went to.
Yeah. And usually it's like 3 ships that go after a sub, so they can kind of box it into a corner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have ships coming, but they're not going to be coming for a long time. So they have
Right.
to find a way to slow the guy down.
This is the doctor again. He's talking with the captain, and we get the story of what happened to his last ship, and it was they got torpedoed, blown in half, and his wife was on the other half. That sunk.
Wow. That sucks.
Yep.
He said he could hear her calling, and then the half of the ship rolled over.
Yep. Well, right down the ocean, he couldn't do a thing about it.
Wow.
That's why he decided to transfer from the merchant fleet to the Navy. He said you want to be on the other side of a shooting boat,
Yeah.
This conversation between him and the doctor, it's kind of startling how this may actually be the birth of the Bones character, the Kirk and Bones relationship.
I got that vibe too.
Yeah.
The doctor was like everybody's friend, kind of knew everybody.
Yep.
Chummy with the captain. He's like his confidant.
Yeah.
And he actually almost perfectly echoes the Cage episode with the white-haired doctor and Captain Pike. It's a very similar, like almost identical in the look of the two of them as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure Norpolio would have gone into that heavy.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yep. And for all you Star Wars fans out there, I want you to note the gunner's helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is probably the origin of the Rebel, those white helmets at the beginning of Star Wars from the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
Looks awful familiar.
Yep. Looks very familiar.
So that now they wake up the next morning and they're within range to
Start the shenanigans.
man your battle stations.
All hands man your battle stations.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, they're getting ready, and then you have the Germans are looking back at them. So I've got the clip for that.
Oh no!
I love that stuff.
They thought that they were a sonar echo. So they had actually seen him, and then the Navy ship was like right in such a way they kept thinking it was a sonar echo, so they really didn't think they were being chased. And now all of a sudden they know they got problems.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and the German sonar too. It does show it. I wasn't able to catch it, but it's a lot more not as advanced as the American sonar.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of, and you know how representative that was the technology of the time either. So it might have just been more of a virtual visual aid for us.
Right.
What they had may have been something different, but yeah, they definitely couldn't tell whether or not it was a real ship or just an echo of their own ship.
Yeah. I think even the sonar, the radar operator couldn't tell if it was a fishing boat or a conning tower of a sub.
Yeah, it was so primitive back then. They didn't know. They just saw a thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yep.
And I have one more clip that kind of, even makes it.
Dempsey, all hands, person your battle stations. Because man, I'm sure they do something like that now too. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Something else that gives it even more claustrophobic to the sub is that when they go to battle stations, they seal all the hatches.
Right.
So, and they,
Seal. 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 Seal.
Yeah, they got to maintain that ship integrity in case
Yeah.
something gets hit. They don't want everything flooded.
yeah, they actually on set they had a actual sailor that was on a German U-boat that would kind of give them
Yep.
what they did on battleships.
Yeah, he's a technical advisor. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's pretty cool how they had that.
Well, you think about all these guys that were left over from World War II, and this is a 57 film, so there was probably a whole bunch of people from the
Yep.
Sea of Japan left over from the Korean conflict as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Whole wealth of information.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Firsthand accounts of people that actually looked on a German U-boat and knew it by heart.
Yeah. You got the engine room.
Looking clean.
There's the precursor to Star Trek too, showing the engine room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, submarines, most people don't. It's crazy to think that if they had some way to get one of these submarines into orbit, it could stay up there. I mean, it's a starship. It just happens to be in water, but it's like all the same concept. It's full seal. There's no windows. You're observing because of sonar and radar echoes and energies being broadcast to find out what is going on outside the vessel. But there's no windows, right?
No.
Yeah, it really does have that, feel of a spaceship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love how they tilt the camera too to show that they're diving and surfacing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they definitely give you that feel of we're going down, we're coming up, we're getting blown sideways.
Yeah.
And
Again, so that in Hunt for Red October, that moment where they're all actually leaning because the set is actually leaning was probably a compliment or a tribute. Like, look how much more advanced our sets are and blah, blah, blah. That whole thing of how do you bring it up to that next level? How do you bring it up that extra notch to make this different from the older sub pictures?
What do they call that? I call it the bottle episode where they're all like in one room.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah. Or a sub picture. They quite literally call some of those a sub picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to determine what's going on.
Yeah. And the only time they can see is when they go to periscope depth. So all they're doing is listening. That's all they can do. It's crazy.
Right. I love these
This guy's seen
procedural.
some action. Got a big old scar down his cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ouch.
There they are. Man, and then to be the regular crew aboard the ship, you don't hear everything that's going on between the captain and the sonar operators, and so you don't know where the sub is at all.
Right.
Yeah.
What, when you're
until
on the ship, you mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're just waiting for an order to start dropping depth charges or something,
Mm-hmm.
So he's looked through the periscope and he's figuring out what to do next.
Everybody's just looking and watching. That's all you can do.
Yeah, the amount of tension must have been insane.
Oh yeah. Yep. They start dropping depth charges.
Yeah. First, I've got a clip to play. First, the sub gets a shot off with torpedoes first.
Yep. Can you imagine being on a boat, seeing something like that just fly by, like, oh,
Yeah.
we almost got killed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy. Go
I
ahead,
love how
Jake.
that cook slams the door.
Yeah.
Nope. You know what?
But you have to understand that both crews know that one bad hit and it's over. It's just
Yeah.
done. You're done.
One wrong turn or anything in
Mhm.
there, that's it.
One good hit and you're over.
Like Battleship.
So the sub fires off a couple, then dies immediately.
Yeah.
And they go after him and start dropping depth charges. And they keep playing the game of they go down to 150 or they'll go up to 50 or whatever, and they'll constantly go to the depth charges and crank the depth notch, at 50 or 150 or whatever,
Yeah, and then
trying to
there's a little.
guess
Yeah, go ahead.
where the sub is, trying to
Right.
get a good hit on them.
Yeah, they weren't using any sort of intelligent homing system. So like there
No.
was
No.
nothing on board that depth charge that said when you're in proximity to a lot of metal, blow up, right? There was nothing like that at all. It was just all pure guesswork and cranking a dial on the timing mechanism, and that's it.
Trying to talk to sonar, trying to get a beat on the location, slow your engines to match them or go slightly faster.
Yeah.
A lot of that kind of math on the move,
Actually, a famous movie star during the 40s actually came up with the tracking on, or a torpedo that would track.
Yeah, it was a woman too, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't she
I
the
think
birth
it was
of Wi-Fi? That lady,
Hattie Lamar or something. Was it?
Yes,
Was that it?
yes.
That's Headley.
Yeah.
Headley.
She came up with Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And literally, a signal that goes from different access points that can travel, and they kind of shoot her off like, that's nice, honey, and I'll just go sell some war bonds and look pretty.
Yeah. Right.
Ugh, so stupid.
And there is a mishap here that I thought I would show, kind of.
I would be screaming.
Yeah. Oh.
He's got all his fingers cut off
Yeah.
or smashed.
Yeah. That you gotta watch what you're doing when you're.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of moving parts on a ship like that.
Mhm.
Your hand placement determines whether or not you're gonna keep your fingers or not, or get something rammed up in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd hate to be in a sub with a depth charge that went off near it. I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Scary as
Yeah.
hell.
That's something Hollywood really doesn't tinker around with much. I mean, a little bit maybe in Saving Private Ryan, they became a little more realistic, but they really go into it in The Hurt Locker. This whole idea that it's not the explosion that hurts you, it's the concussion, it's the
Right.
airwave
Right.
that does most of the damage. I mean,
Yeah.
rupturing blood vessels in your head and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's battering the sub to the point where you bend the metal
Mm-hmm.
and it loses its ability to become airtight or function. Starts spewing oil all over the place, and
it mixes with salt water.
Mm-hmm.
oh, and another thing about this, they do mention this. So some movies they keep throwing off depth charges like crazy. Well, guess what? You only have a certain number of them, so
Right.
you got to be careful.
Right.
And they actually mention how they blew a third of their depth charges on this little excursion they're doing now.
Yeah.
So they have to kind of plan their usage accordingly, or else you're done. You might as well turn around and start running like hell because they will kill you.
Right.
Yeah. And the sub starts releasing something. I don't know what it is, but it's
Some type of camouflage. I don't know how it
yeah.
somehow blocked the sonar waves from getting to them. I don't know
Or
if that really.
diffuse it. It could just be a diffuser as well.
It's kind of to make it sound confusing to the operator.
Well, the addition of any sort of oil or burnt oil, like diesel fuel, I could easily see that being as massively disruptive because it's changing the density of the water that the
Right.
radar is traveling through.
Yeah. Yeah. You notice too that in this movie, everybody's checking their watch.
Yeah, it's a big thing. They're calculating time.
Yeah.
How much time they go on this course? Where would they be? How long they've been down there? How long? Yeah, yeah. You carried your calculator on you. That was your watch, basically,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or your reckoner.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's right.
So many little terms that we don't use anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of sad.
Etymology, man. I swear, anybody who wants to study history should start off with the history of language. It's the most fascinating subject in the world.
Yeah. And the doctor had to amputate the fingers.
Yeah,
Man.
and
And
then
this guy.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you.
He says, "Well, you'll be back to your civilian life pretty soon." He says, "Yeah, I was a watchmaker." Like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch. Okay. Good talk.
You'll make it. You'll be good.
Yeah, spoiler alert, watchmaking is really not going to be a trade in about a generation, so no worries, dude.
You really may have done you a favor, actually. Fortunately.
Yeah, I'd like to get a watch. I need a watch for my wrist. Go back to the way it used to be. And I like this. The cook is, giving soup out. It's like, does it taste like rubber?
Yeah, why would that be? Just because the
I think
fuel
it's
they're burning or something?
notoriously bad. Yeah. He did mention something about the booze tasted like submarine too. Oil and grease and I guess that kind of it just permeates everything. Dempsey. Was that the new version of Learn How to Code?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that was World War II version of it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an interesting scene. I think I'll tell you when it's coming up. But they actually go to the bottom. They want to go to the bottom.
Yeah, they
And the
want to hide.
captain's- Yeah.
Yeah.
The captain's like, "Where's the bottom?" And the his second there says right here, and it's 300 feet. That's too deep. And the captain sits there for a minute or two. Yep, go to the bottom. It's like, but that, and the captain looks at him like, just gives him a look. He's like, okay. So they
Mm-hmm.
dive, and you can see, 300's pretty far into the red there.
Yeah, but at the same time, these gauges are supposed to show you when you're being reckless, not when you're permanently endangering something. I would imagine that
Right.
there's a bunch of leeway, and the captain knows it.
Yeah. And they just put themselves on the bottom and just play the quiet game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
No anthem singing, please. No national anthems, please.
Yeah. Don't drop anything. Don't fart too hard, And then
the
they're doing the same thing too up top.
Yeah, shutting off all noise.
Mm-hmm.
Then these two guys, they're playing
Battleship or something. Oh, tic-tac-toe.
Nice.
tic-tac-toe. It's like,
Holy war games.
yeah. And there's a scene here where it shows people reading books.
Yes.
And I thought it was great. Let's see if we can get it here.
And I got a little tidbit for you here when we get to that.
I don't want to get too cocky here.
Yeah, there
There.
you go.
The dude reading the comics,
Yeah.
he is actually the captain of a real ship that did this.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
He has his cameo.
Wow. That's cool. But the book choices here, The Decline of and Fall of the Roman Empire.
By the enlisted guy, and then the officer's reading.
Yeah.
That's hysterical. That's got to be a nod to the compliment of Cruz.
Yeah.
I always wonder how much of this nonsense, this kind of stuff, is just as poignant as some of the stuff we have in modern cinema, where they're trying to downplay the captain as being a silly guy that reads comic books, but the crew is actually the intelligent mass on the
Yeah,
board.
right.
Trying to stoke them
Yeah.
up, like you guys are the reason why. Like the way some channels go, oh, I would be nothing without my chat, man. Chat, you
Mhm.
guys are doing it, man. You guys are making it happen. Same kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And some of these books were probably read till they fell apart.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Little Orphan Annie.
Dempsey's right. The tic-tac-toe game's kind of like foreshadowing the whole scenario here.
Right.
Yeah.
I make a move, you counter the move. They stop and go silent, you stop and go silent.
Yeah, these guys are fishing. But I love the transition here. It goes from
Oh, yeah.
fishing.
To there they are, right underneath of them.
I wonder what scale model that was.
I don't know.
And these guys are playing chess too.
Another game of maneuvering and reaction and
Mm-hmm.
And then it shows this guy, he's reading German comics, I guess.
oh, and this other guy is reading Mein Kampf.
Yeah. It's like,
That's a
Right
little
under-
on the
right under-
nose, fellas.
Yeah.
yeah,
What are
the-
they
the
trying to
cap-
say? That all the Germans were into the whole Führer thing, and the U.S. was into the whole Imperial Roman Empire thing? I mean, what were
I
they
don't
trying
know.
to say there?
I like to look at his face. He's like, yeah, really? A
Really?
quick thing about him: he actually spent time in a concentration camp. This actor,
Oh
because
wow.
he was not a fan of Nazi Germany.
Nice.
He
Wow.
got into it with the head of the Gestapo's brother, and he went to a work camp for unreliable Germans.
Unreliable Germans.
Yeah,
Wow.
basically they were going to kill him too, but I don't know how he got out of it. So
I'm sure they abbreviated that as URGs.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he had no love of Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a ton of them like that.
But
I
he was
wonder
in
how.
so many German movies too, playing a Nazi general or a military thing.
Man, this captain's face just makes me feel just comfy. He's just so chill the whole time, just swaggering and leaning and answering the phone, and just nothing seems to be bothering him. He seems totally cool with I guess he's seen action deep enough that
Yeah.
he's just so
And that
chill.
that's the captain. He's got to maintain a calm persona, to
Hmm.
keep the crew calm,
Mm-hmm.
He's got to keep his self collective, because if he starts cracking up or acting weird, then it really affects the crew too.
Yeah, like what is that movie with oh oh man, I can't remember the name of it. But he goes, the captain is kind of crazy. And he's got these two ball bearings that
Oh, the
he
Kane Mutiny.
Caine
Yeah.
Mutiny, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Joseph. He was in The Longest Day, and he was in another big German war movie too. He played like a military. So this actor's Taylor in Munich knew he was so famous for German officers. He had an entire line of wardrobe tailor made ready for him to go at any moment, where he could be a general or a
Wow.
SS or a admiral or whatever,
Hmm.
because he was so popular as a German officer in these movies.
Yes, yes.
Good work, He's kind of stereotyped, but
Strawberry.
Well, one
Strawberries.
could probably speculate that Christopher Lee had a bunch of black capes
yeah.
so that he could go at any moment.
Yeah,
Yep.
probably. And the captain's like, yeah. The doctor's saying, so you think he's gone? The captain's like, no, he's still down there. It's like he has a gut feeling that he's still down there.
Yeah, the captain's got to be like, we haven't seen a body, so
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
he's definitely down there. It'd be safer to say he's down there than it is to say anything else.
And I think by this point they've gotten notice that they know where the German's going. He's meeting up with a wolf pack,
right.
and that they have destroyers coming, so that he knows which way he's going to run. So,
Right.
so they're kind of like just the American knows more than the German, but the American doesn't quite know the full capabilities of the guy.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you say South Atlantic, that's gigantic. South
Yeah.
Atlantic is everything south of the equator. So
It's
all
big.
that area between Africa and South America, that's gigantic. And then you got the depth of the water as well. Woohoo!
Yeah.
That's a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And his second here comes up to him and shows him the time. It's like, we better get moving.
Yeah, they have to surface soon.
Right. If he decided to just bail on the whole rendezvous thing, he could have just sat down there,
Yep.
chilled out, maybe rose a couple of meters off the deck and just turned around and went the other way for a little while. That would have totally
Exactly.
screwed him up, but no, he got to fulfill his duty, and that's what screwed him up in the end, I guess.
Yeah, they knew exactly where he was going to be, so
And now they hear his propeller
Yep.
start up.
And this is where he calls for the big power. Oh, that guy in the background right there, that is Daryl Zanuck, one of the big Hollywood hotshots of the day. He got a little cameo in that movie. I can't remember what studio he was running, but he was a studio boss, like one of the old school studio bosses.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, saw war or had family in it, and he might even been on a boat or something. I love too how they actually used a real boat too, and actually were dropping depth charges.
Yeah, Daryl Francis Zanuck. What does it say here?
Yeah, so they're having a powwow of all the officers and chiefs, telling them what they're going to be doing here.
Yeah, they know that he's trying to get to his people. They know they have destroyers coming to help. So what they got to do is they got to be on top of him to slow him down so they can buy time for their destroyers to come up so they can help finish the guy off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to run into a wolf pack and they're going to get eliminated.
Yeah. And he says here that they, after all our depth charging, they might even surface, because it's hell, being in a sub, it's being depth charged.
Yeah, they say he might pop up and just try and fight it out.
Yeah. Which I think they only really have one small cannon on the deck, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's talking about they're going to surge him. They're going to run up on him because they know they don't have. I think this is where he mentions they've lost a third of their depth charges, so they're going to run up, drop a couple, and then hold back. Drop. They're going to do it on the hour, every hour. So it's almost like psychological warfare. They really know they're not going to destroy him, but they think they may damage him or just cause him to, surface and surrender. Or
Right.
So, yeah, it's not a straightforward, we're going to destroy him. It's like we've got to just be on top of him, slow him down, and hope our destroyers come up before their wolf pack or whatever it is comes to them. So it's kind of a crazy, when you think about it.
It's kind of a 50-50,
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, and regarding Zanuck, before we pass too far out of him, he started out at 20th Century, wound up at Warner Brothers right around the mid 60s, and inevitably during the early 70s formed a company under Universal Pictures. But he's responsible for Dr. Dolittle, Driving Miss Daisy, Sugarland Express. Wow. That guy's got some pretty serious pieces under his belt.
Yep.
That's cool. And now they're getting depth charged.
They're going to do the montage.
Yeah.
I like how they show the clock every hour on the hour. It keeps,
right.
Starts happening.
I'm sure the sailors there get showered by salt water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love those those kind of translucent or transparent overlays of montage of time and action passing. I love that old technique. I wish some of that stuff would get revived.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joseph, he did The Longest Day. He was like the main producer of it. The big World War II movie in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that had a lot of people in it.
Yeah, I think everybody was in it.
Including a young Sean Connery.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a fascinating part of Sean's career is that first decade before he just became James Bond for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, this one got cracks.
This guy, yeah, he goes a little cuckoo. He goes for the hatch. He pulls out a wrench on people.
And this is where you talk about, the captain's got to be cool, calm, and collective. He basically talked to here. He is, he's like, I'm the captain.
Yeah.
Put that wrench down.
Give me
Stand and
that
salute.
wrench. And I like he after he makes him give him the wrench. He says, "Hand me the wrench," and gives him a talking to and stuff. But then he hands the wrench back to him.
Yes.
Yeah, you're good. You're good, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're not going to have this problem again, are we? Okay.
No.
Yeah, well, he's got to deal with
No,
morale issues as well. It's not just discipline.
Mhm.
It's that balance of discipline versus morale. You can't go browbeating some guy who just lost it just because discipline needs to be instilled.
And
You got
even
to worry about all the other guys that are right on the edge.
yeah, like Mr. Mein Kampfrieder here, even he wants to surrender now.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we have a job to do. We're going to do it. Just calm down, people.
Like Patton. Patton.
Oh, yeah.
Slapped around a guy that was shell shock. It's like, yeah, he wouldn't too popular with the media back then.
Yep. Can't do that.
Yeah, it's important. That stuff spreads like a virus or a fire. That kind of anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see that a couple of times in the Hunt for the Red October, where there's a bit of a wrestling match about someone of authority and like the navigation guy yelling at Sean, going, we can't do. He's like, you're relieved. Get the hell off my freaking bridge, man. What the hell?
Yeah. Excuse yourself, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to get a person like that out of there because it is a total disruption.
Yeah, even if he's telling the truth, that's not the point.
Exactly.
You do not undermine the captain's authority. You just don't.
That's why it's so hard in a like the Kane mutiny to question your captain. I mean,
there's serious consequences for disobeying a direct order.
Yeah, and we're not talking about an era. I mean, God, Kane Mutiny, those guys didn't have any radio, right? There was no way to dispatch a letter to somebody, even with some sort of telegraph system or something like that. That captain, you might as well have been the only things on the whole planet, and for days on end.
Yeah.
So, totally different. Those Victorian naval commanders must have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
And their first officers, a close second.
Well, they say wooden ships, steel men.
Yeah, exactly.
And also that they actually whipped people,
Yeah.
for
back in the day, yeah.
insubordination.
Insubordination is a cancer, yes, Dempsey.
Yeah.
It needs to be cut out immediately. Now, these guys have been pasted a little bit. They've had an oil leak now.
Yeah.
So they know they can't really do this much longer. And he starts figuring out that when they do the depth charges, they turn a certain way. And that for a few seconds, they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
So now they have a plan that they're going to go on the offensive for a while.
Interesting.
Now, I think these U-boats had a stern torpedo, right?
I don't know. I thought they only had them in the front and maybe one in the back or something. I don't know this class of submarine.
Yeah.
Yep. They'd come up. So he turned the correct way. They came up and they fired all four and they got one. And now they're hurt. Fire.
Ooh.
kind of did a Hail Mary throw and they got lucky. Like you said, just one torpedo and they're screwed.
Yeah. The captain's like, quiet.
I'm trying to listen, guys. Come on.
So now they have a
Oop.
leak.
And they're not going to sink right now, but it's done. It's a done deal. They can't stop it. So yeah, they're starting fires on the deck to make it look even worse. And they're abandoning ship because they are going to sink. And they don't know if this guy's going to come up and finish them off or just get a nice little photo for the people back home and go home, take off.
Yeah, I just did a quick peek on that U-boat armaments, and I'm not seeing any mention of an aft torpedo system. They were all forward firing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a good. I don't think it has a picture of it here, but there's a good picture of the ship with all the fires on the deck. It looks really bad.
Oof.
So they're gonna stay. They're gonna play dead. The engine's got one shot left in it to spin it real quick, and they're going to try to blow up the sub.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
God.
If Roman were here, he'd be like, intentionally setting fire on your ship. Are you mad? Okay, guys,
Yeah.
all the drills we do about not getting a firing ship? Well,
forget all that.
Today,
we're going to start some fires.
We're gonna throw the mattress out and soak them with gas and light them up. So
remember your Boy Scout training and start those fires.
Today and one day only, we're going to set fire in the ship.
PX officer will be handing out flintlock.
So they've had their little. So the sub came up and gave them a notice, 5 minutes, or we're going to sink you. And they're like, okay. And then they do their quick turn and fire. The sub's crippled. Now they're abandoning ship and setting their depth charges. And now they're about to get rammed.
Yikes.
Now, and I did read that this actually happened in real life. It actually sunk both ships in real life. It badly damaged the front of the boat.
Took him down with them.
It's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Run away! Run away!
So he parks a battleship on top of your sub.
Gadzooks, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a landing spot for my ship. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. This parking spot was taken. I'm so sorry. Hey, Salty.
Good grief.
Salty's in the chat.
Nice. What's up, Salty?
Hey, Salty. Yeah, so they smashed that boat pretty good.
Did either of you gentlemen see Benjamin Button? The Curious Case of Benjamin Button?
I didn't see the whole thing. No.
I didn't.
There's Jacob. I think you would absolutely adore the movie. It's probably one of the coolest historical flicks because it's got this Twilight Zone-ish kind of sci-fi edge to it, where time is going backwards for the main character. It's really kind of cool. But there's a sequence in there where they come across a U-boat, and this is the tactic they use to take the sub out. They're in a tugboat, and the tugboat has been commissioned for World War II action to participate in naval retrieval and rescue. And they wind up in this crazy position with one military guy on board. And it just goes like this. It just goes completely bonkers.
Hmm. Diving into that oil-coated water with the flames all over the place.
Oof.
This is the first time they see each other. Both their ships are sunk.
Yeah. Now, I
Wow.
forget, why did he go back? He goes back down in there?
His friend, the XO, is hurt and can't get
Oh,
out.
okay.
He's going for Heine. There he is.
Yeah.
He's messed up.
Yeah, he looks pretty bad. Wasn't he in the that Flight of the Phoenix with Jimmy Stewart?
Maybe.
That's
He had
another
quite
good one.
a career, this actor.
Yeah.
Flight of the Phoenix, that's where they make a plane in the middle of the desert, right? Mickey Rooney's in that
Right.
as well?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mickey
a great
Rooney?
one.
I don't know if he's in it.
I think he
Yeah,
was actually the geek. He was the four-eyed geek that makes it all possible. But I might be mistaken about that one. They did a remake not too long ago it was a vain attempt. They were trying.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Who gets his friend up, and now they're going to die together on the bridge because
Look at
of the conning
that.
tower.
Looks like they just put ketchup on the side of his face there.
Yeah. Nice
Probably
little
chocolate.
historical note about blood. All the times that you see blood in any movies in Hollywood in black and white, they're using chocolate syrup because on
Right.
film, it looks like real blood. It even moves like real blood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Hitchcock shower scene was a chocolate fest, apparently.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. How erotic.
There they are.
Oh, he decides he can't leave him. So they actually filmed two endings to this movie. And the director let the test audience decide which one should go forward. One, they both drowned, or two, the ending we get where they both are saved. And I think the audience was almost like unanimously wanting both of them to live
Yeah.
at this point. So
That's really, that's not really a thing audiences like, where they kill off the
yeah,
two main people at the end.
yeah. So we get the scene here where he throws him a rope and is getting him off the ship. Which wonders, how long did they set that timer for? Geesh. The enemy could have boarded the ship, taken the bomb off the boat, or defused it or something by this point. But
Yeah. And then the mutual admiration too for the two captains too.
Mm-hmm.
when they first see each other, they actually salute each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, rivalry builds the best friendships, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes. The sub blows up and it takes the ship with them. And Heine didn't make it, so this is his funeral.
Zoinks.
I guess these guys are Marines. No.
No, they wouldn't be Marine. They would be men at arms.
Right. Okay.
I like how they given the German guys American outfits, and they made shorts out of their pants and stuff.
Oh.
Of course, the German captain, he's not going to wear a T-shirt under his shirt. No. Gonna
No.
bare that chest.
Mm-hmm. Grizzled, I think. That image is just grizzled.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get much time to, clean up in a sub that small.
No. Now his war's over. He's a captive, so
Yeah.
he's going to go to POW camp.
Yep. And then on to Seal Beach to assist us in submarine design.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There was a movie, I don't know, Sidney Poitier was in it, and Richard Woodmark. It was in the 60s, it's black and white. It's a more communist thing where they're like on a Soviet sub, and they're a hunter, and they inadvertently fire a nuclear torpedo at it and destroy it. And it fires its torpedoes that are nuclear at the boat. And there's a German on the boat, the American boat, the NATO boat. I don't think it's this actor, but it's someone just like him.
Dredd says the Bedford incident.
Yes, that's it. That's a really good one too. A good naval. It's not World War II, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Was the movie Crimson Tide a kind of reminiscent remake? Because that's like Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman doing basically the same kind of roles, except they never launch. But it's very similar roles with Sidney Poitier. I wonder if there was some homage in Crimson Tide that resembled that film.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that guy's name was Eric Portman. He played Commodore Wolfgang Schripke. He was kind of like their captive Nazi guy that was their like a technovisor against subs because he had been a U-boat captain.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Yep.
Yeah, that classic statement about the participation of the U.S. military forces, and thank you so much for allowing us to make this picture. Please don't shoot at us.
Yeah, right. Thank you for all the stock footage and letting us hang out on your ship. But that ship in real life was torpedoed in '71 as part of a testing of a new torpedo.
Oh.
So it did get sunk after a while, but
yeah, radical decommission, I think they might call that.
Yeah, right, really.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, this is a really great movie.
Yeah, it is. It made a home for some saltwater creatures.
Oh yeah, new coral bed.
Yep.
You know, tell, oh god,
these pictures or certain ones like this, one would imagine, right? Because I'm looking back on the entire age of spacefaring naval combat in Japanese anime, and how there's a whole legacy of procedural moments where it's like the captain gives an order, the second in command runs the command down to the navigation deck. Navigation deck sends instrumentality back to the engineering section. They're charging up weaponry. The armory is talking to the captain again. And like all of this intercommunication, I absolutely love that stuff.
Yeah.
And this is where it finds its origin in these events. And one would imagine that 50s or no, mid 60s Japan was playing some of these films. And that some young artists may have seen them and said, like, this is how our scene needs to feel. This is what it needs to feel like, this pomp and ceremony of anxiety and technicalities.
They were very popular in Japan. World War II movies were.
They even get all the instrumentation and stuff, you know?
Exactly, Dredd.
Especially like the first Star Trek, the original series. A lot of the guys who designed the ship were naval and military guys. So that's why it has a kind of a feel. And then, like you say, you know, their helm course, you know, engineering, I need more energy, or what's the damage, you know, damage report. You know, it's very like a sub in space, you know.
Yeah, he's pushing a button and we actually hear that siren, that woo, where he's telling the engineering section, hey, heads up, I got a command coming down. You know, I really, really adore that. And it's so missing from a lot of these modern technical films, where I just wish they would just get more technical and make it
Yeah.
more about the background characters and less about the front characters, and
Yeah,
especially
and
during these
actually
kinds of sequences. Yeah.
Mhm.
actually get the people to make the prop, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sick of the CGI crap all the time.
Yeah.
Oh God, and the I'm sorry, but I do not believe that the future holds holographic, transparent holographic technology. I just don't see that as being a reality. I just don't.
No,
This
me neither.
idea that command information is residing in the air between two people having a conversation, I just don't see how the human eye would ever see it. Like,
Yeah.
it looks great on film, but it's not. That can't be a reality. No way. It just doesn't
Yeah,
make
in real
sense.
life.
Yeah.
And the teaching your military to rely on a piece of machinery that could go out, you know?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I just
okay,
don't see that
holograms down.
replacing.
It's over, everybody.
Right. Yeah, we get it. We get kind of an echo and a joke about that in the Avengers, the first Avengers movie, where the guy's like, "Captain, I've lost the helm." He's like, "Is the sun coming up?
Right.
Put the sun on our right. Get us the frick over ocean, for crying out loud. What are you, a dummy?"
Yeah, exactly. What happens when your computer train quits and nobody knows what to do?
Yeah.
Compasses? Where's the sun, people? Okay, aim your ship at it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What if you don't have windows? Where's the
Oh, I
sun?
know. Did you see how? So World War II, especially the ages. So you see the actors. Everybody's in like their 30s, 40s. The reality, the captain of the ship was really in his mid 20s.
Yeah.
You've got people in their early mid 20s flying B-52s in battleships in subs with a stopwatch and some charts and a fucking ruler and
Yeah.
a pen. You okay. We're gonna fly in formation hundreds of miles away. We're gonna drop bombs on a particular target while everybody's being shot the hell around you, and we're
Right.
gonna fly home.
Yeah.
And then you're doing it by a stopwatch and a map, and trying to find some landmarks. It is mind-boggling today that it would happen. You think it'd be like
Yeah.
it's against the law to have kids do that kind of stuff now, but back then they were
I think
men.
even in the Hunt for Red October, the the guy doing all the navigating said he could fly a airplane through the Alps with no windows with a
Hmm.
compass and a map.
And he was not kidding. You could do it
No, yeah,
as long as you got your position started. You had your precise charts. You could like just click that thing and 5 minutes, 5 degrees starboard.
Yeah.
Altimeter up, altimeter down. And those people and those kids, those guys did it. They flew bombing missions over Germany with all the hell going on around them, and still were able to hit their targets.
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a fantastic set of sequences in the center of the movie, with Jimmy Stewart playing Charles Lindbergh, where he does that very thing. He's doing fuel
yeah,
calculations while doing measurements, while doing
Mm-hmm.
clocking
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
of airspeed, and he's worried about, his weight capacity and throwing things out of the plane and stuff. And
Yep.
it's all right there, and he's totally isolated. I mean, the joke inside the story is that he's literally having a conversation about a fly in the cabin. It's just a brilliant little sequence of events. But yeah, and Dredd says, Christopher Nolan. That's one thing about Christopher Nolan, that in Interstellar, those moments where they're actually having a whole conversation about procedures and step by step by step, and what do we got to
Mm-hmm.
do, and unlock this, turn that switch, rotate the thing at this angle, so good. It's like that puts meat on the jeopardy and the reality of the physicalness of the moment when you do that
right.
kind of procedural stuff.
Yeah, there are steps that need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just jump in, turn the ignition, and do everything. You gotta, yeah.
Yeah, you've
It's
got to
like
have the
doing that.
patience to go down the checklist. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I know we're running out of time, but we still have to go down the checklist regardless. There's no stepping around that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you're even in a normal situation, like let's just say you're trying to navigate, you're in a ship like that, Now factor in the fact that you're trying to either kill somebody, hunt them down, or they're going to hunt down and kill you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got, how much fuel were we burning? How hard are we running the engines because, they could burn up because they don't have enough oil? How many depth charges have we launched? How many shells do we have?
Yeah.
Food, fuel, Okay, if we keep doing this, we're going to run out of X, Y, and Z. So we got to slow our speed, change course. And then the weather. Like in this movie here, they kept talking about the weather report. If you have rough seas, you're not going to be able to chase a sub.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The sub
That
can,
sub would
yeah,
easily outrun you because you're going up and down and they're going in a straight line.
yeah, they're not being affected by the waves down there. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, you're also burning more fuel depending
Yeah.
upon what direction the
Yeah.
waves are traveling in, or you're
Yep.
burning too little fuel and you're traveling way too fast because the ocean's pushing you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have any stars out. It's not going into nighttime, so there's no way to know where your actual position is. You could totally be off position completely, turned around for all you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think how warfare was done back then.
Mm-hmm. It's still still to this day back up their satellite data with a sextant, because just to be sure.
Just to be sure. Yeah, you
shoot
got to
the
have your
stars.
You got to have your redundancies in place. You got to have a compass.
Yep.
You got to have
Mhm.
maps. Your GPS could go out and
Well, for confidence sake, right?
Mhm.
You want the crew to be confident that what
Yeah.
the computer is telling you is actually true. We just
Mhm.
checked it. You know.
Yeah.
Another good sub movie is Destination Tokyo,
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
There we go.
1943.
And there's a difference between war movies made in war and movies made after. Because during the war, it's very, very much rah, rah, rah,
Yeah.
America, whatever. After the war, movies made, you have a
It's
little bit of,
more
looking,
realism in it.
yeah, looking back at it, like these two captains, like the one German, saying he was sick of the war. You wouldn't have that in a war movie made during the war. You would just have some evil Japanese or German person. It would but there's like after the war, there's like more like a introspective, kind of why are we killing each other type things, and
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. But I still like a war movie made in the war. It's still good.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
Merle's Raiders? That was a really good one. When they were in Burma at the time, not Myanmar, but Burma then.
Right.
These guys were like the special forces of their time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't until like the early 60s that we started getting genuine subversion, like Clint Eastwood and those guys were doing World War II movies about bank robberies, about
Kelly's
secret
Heroes.
missions,
Where Eagles Dare. Yeah.
it's like there's a bunch of
Yeah.
them. There's a bunch of them that take place in Greece as well, where they're raiding old monasteries and stuff. And
Guns of Nevron, the first one.
Escape.
Yeah.
There's one
Guns
with
of
Telly
Nevron.
Savalas in it, with Roger Moore and Telly Savalas are in it.
Ooh.
And Roger Moore is playing a Nazi and Telly Savalas is playing a Greek freedom fighter. And it's they're basically trying to raid an Orthodox church, a Greek Orthodox church.
Guns of Nevron, isn't it?
No, what is
No,
it?
that must be a
Escape to
different one.
Athenia, or the climate? It's something at Athenia, the mountain of Athenia, the temple.
Now
of
I got to
Athenia.
find this.
Something like that. If you look Telly Savalas and Roger Moore, just put that in the search and you should be able to find it. But it's just the 60s started producing those kinds of movies where a kind of international cynicism of we're not half as perfect as we think we are kind of attitude. And in the 50s, they were getting more, it was more about the realism of the human condition in the 50s, where that beatnik tone was getting in there. Of these are men made out of flesh and blood, and they know it, and we want to see that on screen. Which eventually
Joseph's
became
just
The
spitting
French
out the,
Connection and The Godfather by the time.
Spitting out the movies here.
Yeah, Dread's killing it in the chat, and so is Dempsey too. Thank you, boys. It's always great when you've got a sage chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Guns of
Yeah,
Nevron. The first one is a really good movie.
That's with Gregory Peck, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
Gregory
climbed them.
Peck, David Niven.
Mhm.
Good heavens, what is the hunky guy with the mustache?
Oh, I know you talk about. Um,
Anthony Quinn.
yeah.
He was a major sex symbol back then. The ladies loved him. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. While I'm watching this movie, right, you got half the crew of that U-boat
Hello, Jana.
are shirtless, right?
Hey. Yes.
Hey, Jana. And it dawned on me that how many moms brought their kids, their boys, to go see this movie, right? They may have even have been World War II or Korean conflict widows that went to go see these movies. And they're having, like a whole palpitated moment because there's so many shirtless men on screen. I mean, I've always wondered about that there was almost, those Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon movies must have been a real hit. Like, Mom, can we go see it? Of course we can, she says with an eager
I'll have to
blush
go
on her
with you,
face. Exactly. Oh, but can't you sit a few rows back, Mom? Oh, well, of course, because I don't want you to see me blushing about Flash. So,
Stephen, you're right. It is called Escape to Athena, and it's a
There you go.
1979 movie.
yeah, right when
Okay.
Roger Moore was trying to deviate from his James Bondness.
Yep.
Yep.
He was branching out. He did another one too. It was called Goose Squadron, or
Oh, Wild Geese.
yes,
The
yes.
Wild Geese. That is such a fan. Jake, I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I haven't.
Absolutely fantastic movie. As somebody into military stuff, highly recommended. British
All right.
government secretly sends a band of mercs that are attached to the Royal Secret Service, a Royal Secret, Special Forces, sends them into South Africa to secretly retrieve what is quite obviously in the face of the movie, Mandela, from
Wow.
captivity. And there's this whole discussion about the politics of South Africa, that one of the mercs is actually from South Africa, and what these guerrilla military factions in South Africa were doing. The training sequence and the execution of absolute military mastery playing out at the same time. So much fun. That movie. So good.
He did that's a good one too.
Yeah.
It was in 1980. He did a movie. I just had it up here. What is it called? It's a World War II movie. A bunch of retirees, the Sea Wolves. That was it. They get together, a bunch of old retiree guys who are kind of past it, get together and put in for a secret mission. Yeah, Starship Troopers is a really good military movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say I've never seen Full Metal Jacket.
Jacob.
You're kidding, right? You're
No,
joking.
no.
Oh my God.
Oh, you gotta watch that.
All right, I'll put it on the list.
It's a good one. It's like a classic.
I forget, Jacob. What's your military background? Or did you have a military background? Okay.
No, I don't have one.
Is it Shield
a
Wall?
military
I'm
buff.
remembering.
Yeah, he's Air Force retired.
Okay.
Yeah.
The drill sergeant, the basic training sequence in
Yeah,
the
no,
beginning
I
at the
do
front
know.
of is absolutely it's the most memeable thing I think
Yeah.
it's ever been made.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's very famous.
Yeah.
The whole he's a real drill sergeant and got the role. He was supposed to be just a consultant and then wound up playing the drill sergeant
Yeah.
because his work was just phenomenal. And him against Private Pile.
Yeah,
And the
I
idea
like,
that go ahead.
There's no, race or anything. You are all equally worthless.
yes.
Yep.
The original boot camp instructor is in the movie. He got hurt. He was in a car wreck, so he couldn't continue. But in the scene where they're out of boot camp, they're flying a helicopter, and the gunner is just shooting people in rice paddies. It says
Oh, really?
a Viet Cong who runs. You can tell if they run they're Viet Cong, but the ones who don't run are very well disciplined Viet Cong. That was the original Hartman actor. But he got into a car wreck and couldn't continue, so he got that little bit.
Hmm.
That's how what's his name became super famous from that, because he'd been in another Vietnam movie. I think it's called The Boys of Company C. He played a
Okay.
boot camp company guy there, and what's his name? The guy who directed it. I'm blanking out on the guy's name. Who's the director? He did The Shining and
Oh, Kubrick.
yeah, Kubrick didn't want him because he didn't believe he could be a hard ass. He said, "No, I've seen you. You're kind of, I need somebody who's like really intimidating." And then that's
Yeah,
when he turned it on and did an audition, and he basically just did the Hartman character, like you see in the movie, and that's how I got it.
And let me tell you something, that's not far off. I was in boot camp in the early 90s, just before Desert Storm hit. That's not far off. One of our drill sergeants was former Marines. He had been kicked into the U.S. Army after over disciplining on Paris Island. He was charged with being too harsh with military trainees. I was like, wow.
So send him to the Army guys.
Well, he wound up getting kicked down, and like even the Army didn't want him anymore, so he was pushed into National Guard boot camp training. And this guy was hard. And when we did some of the finished drilling stuff that he was trying to teach us to get us to act as a single troop of people, it was euphoric. I can't tell you how euphoric it was to please him. It was downright euphoric. It was so awesome. We all looked at each other with like smiles on our faces, and he yelled at us for being happy and made us do drill push-ups, and we were even happier because we knew he did it to love us. It was right out of the movies, man. It really happened. What a great period. I wish I never left the military. That was so awesome. It was an awesome period of my life.
Yeah, you're doing good when you get disciplined for doing it right.
Yep. It was great. Classic Marine drill sergeant too. Skinny as a rail with a big black mustache, just spit and polish head to toe. Just classic.
Yeah, like when he stabs that guy in the hand.
Why
are we doing knife training when you just push a button, sir? Put your hand up there. Whoosh. You cannot defeat the enemy. You cannot use your hand.
He was awesome in that.
Yeah, Clancy is good.
Clancy's amazing, and it's such a tragedy that he was just young enough to be a dumbass about the success of Highlander. I think he could have done a few more roles like that and just let Hollywood love him for a little bit more, and his career would have really, really blew up. Because you do them a few favors for money's sake, and like Matt Damon, all of a sudden they're like, whatever you want, dude. Anything you want now that we've made all the money we thought we could make. I think he could have ran with that for a little while, but he hated that role. He just like Rutger Hauer with Blade Runner. Hate it. Just hate it. I hate hearing about it. So funny.
Hey, Copa.
There he is.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They do a career-defining moment, and they just hate. I guess they put too much into it or something. And
they're worried about being typecast by a single role, and Clancy obviously has so much more to offer. We never really got to see how much Rutger had to offer, but Clancy, we actually got to see a pretty good spectrum of what he was capable of. His comic timing alone in Starship Troopers makes the whole film watchable.
Yeah, he's a funny man. He has that timing. He could have done, maybe not a rom-com, but some type of action comedy, or something.
What did I miss?
We were just, bathing Clancy in some serious love. That was pretty much the extent of it. Him and Rutger Hauer, and for the same reasons, they both had these breakout roles that almost crippled their careers because they were so good. You know, kind of like almost Adam Wested themselves with those two roles.
Yeah.
That's a
Before
danger,
I
and
dropped out.
nobody forgets about Adam West. I guess you never go full retard, and you never go full Batman.
Batman.
I guess are the two
Yeah.
rules. Those are the two rules.
Well, before I got knocked off, I was going to say, did you know Bob Ross was a drill instructor?
Yes. Air Force.
No way.
He
Yep.
was a hard ass too.
Air Force drill instructor.
Wow.
He was in the in the nuke program. He was like one of the missile people, and he was in Alaska, and he hated it. He couldn't wait to get out because he was not that person, but he had to be that person when he was in the service.
Yeah.
And then he got out and he grew out his hair and became an artist and
Beat up brushes.
You know, I've had
Yep.
so many people over the years. I mean, you both of you gentlemen have heard me wax fantastic philosophically on some subjects, and a lot of people over the course of just my life, and I'm not really deep into anything really, really cool or anything like that, but people have always told me stuff like, dude, you got to get out of your head. You need to focus on the family and the body. You live in reality for a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, but it's always strange how the guys that live a lot of reality become the most deep philosophers. Like this story about Bob Ross becoming this artist afterwards is just, it's like the yogi goes up into the mountains and discovers that eternity is all whole and everything like that. And then he
Yeah.
gets married and has a few kids. But that marriage is probably more solid because of the journey he took, in much the same way that Bob Ross is cooler and chiller because he was part of the
Totally.
nuclear missile program. Like
Yeah.
he knows why chill is necessary, right? He experienced it
yes.
firsthand. So
Yeah.
it's odd that there's got to be a balance between burning yourself a few times so that you understand that, yeah, pain hurts, It's the same kind of hard test.
We wouldn't have had that kind of Bob Ross had he not had that kind of life,
Yeah.
That's right.
Crazy.
I wonder if that was prescribed by a doctor to begin painting. That was like part of a discussion of him recovering from separating from the military, perhaps. And
Could have been.
you know what I mean? Like it started out as therapy and became a whole thing for him. Just
And it
Cool.
it still is today,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he passed away. They still show his stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the memes on the internet. As soon as you see
Yeah.
a Bob Ross meme, it's
Yep.
happy little paintings,
Yep.
happy little trees.
beat
Yeah, this
the,
way
beat the
they
devil
live.
out of that brush,
They
You
live
know,
right here. They're
every
very
time
happy.
every time he does that, this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part. Just beat the devil out of that brush.
Hey, if you want to take it one meta layer deeper, would Ryan Reynolds even be Ryan Reynolds without Bob Ross? Or would Deadpool be Deadpool without Bob Ross? Because I'm sorry, there's some moments where he really just grabs on to some of these meta characters. He's literally enacting memes on screen in live action. So
Yeah.
Randy Savage was actually a professional baseball player before he became a wrestler too. He was on the farm team for the Cardinals, and that's as good as he got. He never was able to make it to the majors, but yeah, he was a professional baseball player for a number of years.
to roll the clock back on this conversation a little bit, because we have definitely full 150% gone off the rails here.
Oh yeah.
What is thematically your favorite part, Jacob, about the enemy below? I mean, this rivalry between captains and, this theater of World War II, ocean combat. What's your big takeaway? I mean, what makes this reside
Well,
in your
is
library?
It is the putting their wits against each other, and then in the end, meeting each other and having that mutual respect for one another, even though they were just trying to kill each other. I like that battle of wits, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ironically, we were talking about what type of trope this is, and it's the birth of the trope of the sub picture or a bottle picture, something that takes place in a small, isolated space where it's just this group versus that group. The movie Die Hard, John
Yeah.
versus Hans, is kind of a very similar plot line. They're both
Yeah,
extremely clever people.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're stuck in the building
Yep.
because they're
And John could be paralleled with this captain as well, because this is a new guy on board. He may not have even supposed to have been on that ship at that time. It's just like John McClane. He might not have. The whole thing would have gone differently if she didn't invite her husband over for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Holto maneuver.
Oh, good grief! So funny. I guess
So
that's what that's
actually,
supposed to mean.
Stephen, your question for you, what was your favorite part of this movie?
Well, my big takeaway, and I'll be completely open, cards on the table. I haven't watched this movie all the way through. I was able to get a bunch of reviews, about a half dozen of them. I was able to get into, briefed, 10, 8-minute long, movie review clips and stuff like that. And they were all kind of talking about the same thing. Most of the stuff that I talked about as well, these earmarks of the legacy of this film, all of the invention of this mental combat, like it was a live action version of a chess game,
Right.
where in a chess match, you see the guys moving the chess pieces on the public board so that the public can see. Sometimes there's occasionally a mirror, or it's televised where you can see the board from the top down. That's what's going on in all of these captains' heads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're talking about too. It's this battle of wits, and yet nobody's touching each other, right? It's like they're moving their vehicle, they're checking their supplies, they're measuring distance and time. It's like all so in their head the whole time, but there's these serious consequences because of what's in their head.
Yeah. What about you, Blair?
I liked when they're get into action. All of a sudden they discover the ship or the sub, and they're snapping orders out, and the crew is a well-oiled machine. Everybody gets to duty stations on time. Everybody's on target. Everybody's reading out the readings. He's engines half speed. Come about. Set the depth charges for 150, and then on the other side of the sub, the same thing. They're reacting to, like, oh shit, we're about to get hit. Everybody dive, dive, dive. Go to 75 feet and seal everything up and get ready, and that kind of movement where everybody's getting taking the orders or just doing their duty, seeing how a ship actually operates when you're in a battle situation. I really love those scenes where everything's getting ready to go.
Yeah.
And Copa's right. Yeah, even the German actor talked about how this is the first time he'd seen a German portrayed as not being a evil monster, but actually just a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting note, because this is something I've been trying to keep my eye on as I look further and further back into cinema with this eye. It's this notion that political manipulation of the audience has been going on for as long as cinema has been in effect. And when this film came out in 1957, the United States, Britain, France, Switzerland, Italy, they were all trying to recover a relationship because this new industrial age was beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be foolish to just keep Germany all bottled up, right? It's like the Volkswagen and the Mercedes and all of these German technologies were coming out from Germany. Like they were producing this whole new reality as a part of the mechanical age going into the 60s. Same thing we did with Japan, right? There were several movies around the same time that did the same thing with Japanese commanders. Bridge over the River Kwai is a perfect example, I think, of that, where there's this relationship between Britain and Japan because survival, because duty, because saving as many lives as possible. So yeah, there's this interesting little thing that happens in this movie where they're softening the reality of what we faced in World War II and the reality of the men still surviving, right?
Yeah, exactly. That there is kind of an attitudinal shift as the years go by from the war where, there's a softening of it, or also, these economies are coming back online. Now, you don't want to just create the same situation where you could create the Fourth Reich. You want to get them into the world, and what globalization was happening during this time too.
Right.
Everybody, one country didn't have all the items necessary to industrialize, but they had one. Well, America will keep the seas safe, and you can trade for all the others, and you can have industrialization too.
Right. Yeah.
And bring your.
That's when we started becoming a police force.
After World War II, the rest of the world put harsh sanctions on Germany. When the other people involved, it's to me it seemed like everybody had a little toy soldier army to play with, and they wanted to see what they could do with it. That's what it felt like to me, anyway. And I know more about World War II than World War One, but they're both connected. They both World War One. It's like
World War One and World War II are like
part 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with the Depression as the denouement or the passage of the Valley of Darkness kind of thing, where the world like, oh, let's go into peace, and then the Depression crashes, and part 2 coming this summer.
Bye, Jenna.
Bye, Jana. Thanks for stopping by.
Night, Jana. Happy Valentine's Day, you two of you, by the way. I didn't
Happy Valentine's Day.
I didn't mention anything about it.
I forgot all about it. I was going to say something too. At the beginning, I was going to say something. I forgot all about it.
Well, we have a bona fide married couple in the chat, so you know.
Yeah.
And like when this movie came out, and after World War II, we had just one big rival, the Soviet Union,
right,
and the Warsaw Pact, and then it was NATO and America. So we had to basically get these people on our side because we were not going to go over to Europe and try and invade Russia. That would have just been suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like, bribed all these countries to be on our side by having free trade and, getting their economies all good up.
Yep.
No. Copa. And it worked. We didn't have a massive major war. America never actually went to war with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Russia's going to war with all its former provinces now, but we had the Cold War. We had Vietnams, we had Koreas, we had shenanigans in Central America, and
and shenanigans in Central Asia as well, with the Afghan conflict being pretty much the same thing.
Yep. And now that's all over, and now now we're in a new world. Things are changing.
And we're fighting a new proxy war in that country that starts with a U.
I will take this. I will take what's going on now over what was going on then because of, fatality and human existence and population and all that good jazz and brutality. There's some brutality in this current age too. I won't doubt that. I mean, I understand what the battle's all about. I know where the line is drawn, but and there's some serious casualties happening, but I think for the most part, they're economical and intellectual losses that are being taken now. And that's uncomfortable, but it's recoverable. You can't save the sailors that died in the ocean. You can't resurrect the people of Japan that died in those 2 atomic attacks. They're gone. It's over. But the generation that's going through this right now, they could grow from it. You know, lessons can still be learned. We're not so
Yeah.
far gone. And we are
Yes.
communicating. I mean, look at the three of us right now. I love harping on this, that we're in 3 different parts of the planet. I've been on panels where we're literally 3 or 4 different parts of the planet, like England, Japan.
Yeah.
Once Wakazashi gets on it, it's like,
Mhm.
holy crap, it's global. You know, so
Even some
we're
Aussies. I've had
communicating.
even been on some streams with Aussies too. So
Hmm.
all
I used
over.
to do a duet with a guy that was in New Zealand. And, we would do a 12-hour stream. And quite literally, the chat would be where the time zone was at the moment within the stream, because we had gone 12 hours.
Yeah.
So we would see this time zone shift as my audience showed up. And then we got a European audience come in where he knew some guys in England and Switzerland and Germany. And then his audience would show up and we'd get Australia and then back to, the West Coast of the United States. It's like, it's amazing. This technology it's just mind boggling. And so I think that this will save us when it comes to, once again, intellectual combat, right? Everybody's talking about 5D chess kind of thinking going on now, where you have to believe, but not so much. You should always be skeptical. And again, not so much, because it's hard to figure out where truth is, and truth is being forced to be defined from you. Like, you have to find your own truth. Otherwise, you step out into this ocean called the world right now, hoo boy, you might as well be walking off a cliff blind.
Like Dempsey,
The-
he's in a New
Yeah.
Chernobyl. Yeah, that place is screwed.
Yeah. Whose bright idea was it to, hey, let's see what happens if we throw fire on it?
Yeah, we'll just let it all burn.
Yeah,
These
that'll
aren't
make it
chemicals
go
that are
away.
harmful. There's not going to be any fallout from this. Yeah. Be interested
Yeah,
to check out the
but
cancer rates.
Biden's going to cure cancer, though.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we've truly entered a level of circus
Yes.
that is quite literally not to be believed, with a capital not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe, is that for real? That I've seen some images and I'm like, that's fake. That mushroom cloud looking
Yeah.
explosion
Oh,
coming out of
yeah.
Ohio. What is that for real? What the
Yeah.
hell happened?
There's
That-
video of it.
Those tankers were on fire. Was that vinyl chloride or some shit? That.
Oh my
So they were afraid it was going to explode. So what they did was they actually use charges to branch the tankers to drain the stuff out into these like gutters that are along the tracks, and then burn it safely, so it doesn't explode. But now
Nah.
you got this
Nah,
massive
it'll be fine.
fume of burnt toxic chemicals in the air, landing on everything. So people are going out
Gosh.
finding all their chickens are dead, or fish kills in the creeks, and
Oh my God Almighty!
yeah.
How close to the Mississippi was that?
Well, I think all of Ohio is a watershed for the Ohio River, which goes into the Mississippi.
Good grief! My God.
Gosh.
Yeah, they showed a match. The Ohio Valley watershed is like over to Illinois and Indiana and Kentucky, West Virginia, all because all the mountains, everything flowed down. And I don't know how long that stuff is going to be in the environment. Does it even break down? Is
Yeah.
that one of those forever chemicals that
Yeah.
it's just there?
I'm sure that all of the chemical companies on the planet are all vying for positions on cleanup. Oh my God, this is going to be the most profitable decade of our lives.
Well, the funny thing is,
first
look how many train
balloon-
derailments we've had in the last few days too.
Yeah. That first Chinese balloon we had, I think that was a Chinese balloon. I think these
Yeah.
other balloons are like, hey, we can distract people from what's going on in Ohio with all these balloons in there.
Yeah.
Let's put some more up there.
No telling. Nobody's talking about it anymore. I mean, it's like one of the biggest environmental disasters in American history, and you don't hear much.
Yeah.
You would think that all of those green people would just be up in arms all over the place, but I haven't seen anything but a few rare
No.
images, and they all look fake. Every single one of them looks so fake.
Where's Greta?
Yeah.
Where's that cadre of people?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
interesting.
other political group is in charge now, so it's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you know who was in power, there would be like holy hell being raised.
Yeah, I love this picture. It's a picture of people protesting a oil rig going out, and they're all in their little kayaks. You know, they're
Yeah, I saw
plastic
that.
kayaks that are made out
Uh-huh.
of petroleum.
Yeah. Yeah.
The irony.
Yeah,
It's
Dude.
so
Well, that was the joke with the SUVs. I'm sure you guys all remember the Save the Whales bumper stickers on the most gas guzzling vehicles ever created
yeah,
by
right.
man.
hmm
It's like, really, guys? And how many kids do you have? And what are their carriages all made out of? And, where did that metal come from? That titanium baby
Yeah,
carriage came from?
right.
It's like, Jesus, they mine that stuff in Africa, It's like, come
Yeah.
on.
And where, by the way, where did all those batteries for the cars come from?
Oh
Where'd the
yeah,
material come from?
child
I
labor
wonder.
from Africa. You know,
Yeah,
don't worry, we're going to be able to upscale by a factor of 10 to get all that stuff, right? Yeah. Like some guy was saying that at no point in human history have we scaled up by a factor of 10 that fast to make enough iron lithium batteries for EVs. We're basically going to destroy the planet going to EV vehicles rather than just burning regular gas because
yeah,
Well, there's a bone of optimism that one could have just because of a couple of statements that Elon Musk actually made, where he talks about, yeah, we're not prepared technologically, mineralogically, industrial complex wise. We're not really prepared to do what we plan on doing. But once we get the platform up and running and stations up and running, then we can alter the technology at those stations and in those vehicles because we're going to design it to be modular. So we create a space that thing needs to occupy, and it'll be modular across the board, like tires or gas tanks or light bulbs. And by
yeah,
making it modular, you can transform a part of the technology that's the real problem, but the platform can stay the same.
yeah, yeah,
And that's the optimism with electricity, because battery technology, I can't even tell you, there's got to be over 100 breaking technologies, and there are new ones breaking every single day. It's just the logistics of how to get it to do that on a mass scale
yeah,
and how to deploy it. The big workaround is what materials these things are made out of, because that's the big problem,
that's what
is
they
the
say. They
materials
need
they're made
to
out of.
do a lot of material research because lithium ion doesn't hold a long enough charge. And if we're going to do wind and solar, we need batteries that can hold charges for days and weeks so that we can tap the electricity in when the sun isn't shining, the wind isn't blowing, or if it's
Yeah, I've
super
been
cold.
watching. There's an up and coming technology that's just now being deployed out that has to do with heat batteries, thermal batteries. It's basically gigantic brick or stone structures that you dump heat into.
Hmm.
And the heat is coming off of the factories that will eventually use it to pump back into the system to run turbines through heat, and those turbines will create electricity. And
Hmm.
these batteries, they're like as big as like aircraft carriers, like
Yeah.
gigantic devices. And they're not mechanical at all. They're just completely physical, solid state.
hmm
And they can hold thermal energies at top capacity for weeks on end.
yeah,
So they could go through a whole manufacturing cycle and then pump that energy coming off the smokestacks, coming off the machinery, coming off the water, coming off the process into these batteries and store it up, and then run the factory the following week with the battery. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. I'm trying to keep an optimistic mind about it. It's the political stuff has just really got me overthinking.
yeah, yeah.
hmm
Everything, everything from movies and TV shows to government issues and stuff. It's all being politics, politicalized.
Politicized.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to the
politicized.
max.
Yeah, it's getting blurred. It's hard to tell where entertainment and politics and news media, where it all ends and begins. It's very gray
Yeah.
where
Oh, yeah.
reality stands, because our reality and our media are so intertwined and talking about each other all the time. And celebrities show up as political figures and then they appear as a fictional character in a movie at the same time. It's like, whoa,
I
what are we
know,
even?
right?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good grief,
Yeah.
Ohio.
It's
What a
gonna take a while to
mess.
clean that place up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've gone 2 hours.
Yeah, it's time to
So
wrap it up. I gotta go
yeah.
myself. This has been
Yeah.
a great discussion. The movie was great too, and the
Yeah.
after discussion was even maybe better.
Thanks. Thanks to both of y'all for coming on. Thanks,
Yeah,
Stephen, for
I
coming
was
on
glad I
last
was able to
minute.
pop on for you. Yeah, that's great.
So uh, Blair, you got anything you want to shout out?
I'm going to be on Roman of the Empire here. How about
Hmm.
it's next week, a week after? We're going to do a John Carpenter special.
Yeah, I'll be on that
Uh,
too.
John Carpenter, right? Yeah, John Carpenter movies. So that's going to be great.
That should
I'm
be
a
cool.
big fan of his work.
Yeah.
I'm toying with the idea of having my own live stream coming up.
Hmm.
Cool.
Maybe a little bit more kind of like a horror themed thing. But if I do it, I'll definitely let you guys know what
Okay.
I'm going to talk about, and if I do it even. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on, Jacob. I really like these kind of movies, and I
Yeah.
like discussing this kind of stuff. And thanks for the chat for showing up,
Yeah. Thanks
guys.
everybody in the chat.
Indeed.
What about you, Stephen? You want to say? Have anything you want to plug?
Nothing going on tomorrow, but I'm sure both you gentlemen already know. Chat, definitely welcome to show up. Roman's doing his second episode of legendary and transformative comic books, which should be pretty cool. It's always a party over at Roman's. It really is. He's another guy that's just like, just crack the garage door, Roman, man. Show me the way. Let's just friggin' sit here until your wife starts yelling into the garage, going, "You got to clean up the dishes. What are you doing in here? We got to watch this family movie." And then Roman's like, "Oh, sorry, guys. Got to kick you out. See ya. Bye-bye."
Bye.
So that should be a lot of fun. That's Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, which is what, 8 on the coast, on the East Coast?
Yeah. Think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well,
that should be cool.
thanks to the chat too, for especially Joseph Dredd and Dempsey. They were spitting out the facts out there and showing
Thanks
a
for
bunch of
Copa
other good movies too.
for stopping
And
by,
Copa and Jana. I think even Ms. Martin was there for a little bit.
yep, she popped in and said hello. And Zach Sue, you said hi.
Yeah, Zax.
Yes, indeed.
And Salty too.
Oh yeah.
Well, next week I'll be doing Jurassic Park, and it's the 30th anniversary of that movie.
Oh
That's
God,
amazing.
Yeah.
I feel so old.
Yeah. I was 6 when that movie came out.
I don't want to say how old I was.
I was in my early 20s, I guess, 30 years ago. Yeah, my
Yeah.
mid-20s.
Yeah, mid-20s for me.
It was mind-boggling.
It was.
Just the consideration of what that film was doing. I mean, you're going to get into it big time, I'm sure, but
Yeah. And
the
funny
notion
thing,
that that technology just it struck us right in the face, and then Avatar did the same thing not too long afterwards. It was just like, wow, this technology is getting out of control. That's amazing. Look what
Yeah.
I've
they're able to
actually
do.
seen one of those computers that they made the stuff on at a computer show in Chicago, like a vintage computer show.
Hmm.
They actually had the computers that they did those kind of graphics with, which, back in the 90s, that was like insane, the processing power those things had.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Well, that's
really
where the
cool.
name Pixar actually comes from. Is from from the hardware. The hardware was called Pixar.
Yeah.
Cool.
At least I think that's
And
my understanding.
thanks to movies like Jurassic Park, we now have Photoshop on our own
That's right.
computer, and we can do some of these things ourselves, which is incredible.
Hmm.
Well, gentlemen, thank y'all for coming on.
Excellent.
And
Thank you.
thanks to the chat. And I will see y'all next week. Y'all have a good week, and I'll see y'all in the chat.
Good night.
Y'all take care.
Night.